If you have a close look at the dial, the handset and the markers of this watch, you could be mistaken for thinking that this is a Tudor Pelagos. But what if I said to you that its case diameter is 40mm with a total thickness of only 11.4mm, beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour? You could then be forced into thinking Tudor has changed the specs of the Black Bay 58. But this watch also features 300 meters of water resistance, accompanied by a beautiful vintage style Submariner case. It has pointed crown guards, highly polished bezels and drilled lugs for easy strap changes. Well, now I'm confused. Is it a Tudor or is it a Rolex? It's neither. Let's check this out. So the watch in question is a nod to history. Literally, it's called the NTH NÄCKEN. It's a 300 meter dive style watch and it borrows a lot of its design cues from Tudor, from the Pelagos, from the Black Bay, from the Rolex. As you can see, the case with the sharp crown guards, the long extended lugs, all vintage inspired, which is really nice. And this watch surprised me. You see, one of my viewers popped in to see me several days ago and he goes, "Pete, what do you think of this? I just bought it." And I had a look at it and I thought, you know what, that's pretty interesting. Can you leave it with me? He goes, "Yeah, absolutely." So he hasn't even worn it yet and he left it with me so I can have a look at it. And I've been observing this watch all week and you know what? It's pretty good. I mean, I can't compare it to my Tudor Black Bay 58. There is no comparison, but I'll tell you what, as far as the finishing and the feel, it's very close. In fact, it's a little bit more comfortable. Coming in at 11.4mm, also featuring 300 meters, that's very impressive. The silky smooth finish of the brushing, the satinized finish on this watch is superb. So for a micro brand coming in at under 700 bucks, this is really, really cool. Now the watch's dimensions are very interesting. It's got a case diameter of 40mm with a lug-to-lug distance of 48mm. I measure the case height at 11.4mm and a lug width of 20mm. Now the crown is a screw down crown, it's signed and it's 7mm and the total weight, unsized, comes in at 149 grams. So the specifications on this watch are ideal. They're very, very nice and very suited to a lot of wrist sizes. The bezel on this watch is a 120 click unidirectional bezel. It has a stainless steel insert and it's fully loomed, and the action is extremely tactile. There's zero back play. It's firm. It's, I'd probably say, a little bit on the harsher side compared to the rest of this watch, because the rest of this watch feels fantastic. But the action itself, it's sharp, it's tactile, and it lines up beautifully. So a very nice action and a very reassuring bezel. If we have a close look at the bracelet on this watch, as you can see, it's a 3-link system, solid end links, and those end links extend the total lug-to-lug distance from 48mm all the way to 51.8, and that's a bit of a bummer because the rest of the proportions of this watch are pretty much ideal. But getting back onto the bracelet, solid links, screw pins, as you can see, milled center, flip lock, 6 micro adjustments, no issues. Really, really well finished. So the finishing is, how can I put it for a better word, silky smooth. From that case to the bracelet, really nice in the hand. Now I haven't adjusted the watch to my wrist because it's not my watch. It's a viewer's of mine, he's dropped that in. It's a brand new piece, he hasn't even worn it yet, but as you can see the footprint, 40mm, 48mm lug to lug, fantastic. That height at 11.4mm is spectacular. That's a 300 meter diver. That is spectacular, guys. That is brilliant. And I love the length, the extension of those lugs. It just looks superb. Now I did say that the watch beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour and it features a Miyota 9015. And as you can see, there's a date at the 6 o'clock. And it's pretty much camouflaged. It looks almost identical to those indices, which is really, really nice. So I think design-wise, they've done a great job in just putting it at the 6 o'clock. And speaking of those markers, the watch features Swiss Superluminova BGW9 on those hands, indices, the bezel insert, everything is fully loomed. So as you can see, the transition is beautiful. It's extremely bright, very legible. They've not spared any expense on that loom, and that's great. getting back onto that Miyota, like I said, it's a 9015 and it's actually regulated before they ship the watches out. So their specs say -5 to +15, and I've had this on the time grapher and this is running at exactly +6 seconds, which is way within spec, which is pretty cool. So looking at this watch on the outset, it does look like a really nice package, under 700 bucks, really well spec'd, really well sized, finished, not an issue. But there are some little negatives that I've sort of found on this watch, which I'll point them out to you. You tell me what you think. Number one, that Miyota, you got rotor wobble. I've felt the rotor wobble in this watch several times, even now. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's wobbling, it's moving around. So that's one of the negatives that's pronounced in this particular unit. And I think because it is so thin, you can actually feel that. So that's number one. Number two, that bezel, it is a little bit harsh, but it's fantastic as far as its action. So mentioning the harshness, and I only mention it because the rest of the watch, even from the screw down crown, it's actually sublime. The winding, everything is very, very nice on this watch, apart from that bezel action. Now if we screw that crown back in again, it latches on, it's buttery smooth, and it's got 300 meters of water resistance. However, it looks like there's a bit of a gap between the case and the crown, and it looks like it could actually screw in at that little bit more, but it's an optical illusion because the crown does curve inwards and touch the case. But that would have been nice to have that crown sit more flush with the case and with those crown guards. So that's another potential negative. And probably the last potential negative of this watch, the quality control. And when I say quality control, under extreme macro, looking at that dial, I've noticed some fine dust, very, very fine hair, just little things that are probably neglected upon inspection when this watch was assembled. So nothing you'll ever see from the naked eye. I've looked at it with my glasses, I've looked at it with a loop of 2 times, no, but when you get to 5 or 10 times, you start to notice these things. So just thought I'd mention. But in saying all that, the positives of the watch far outweigh the negatives. You've got fantastic dimensions, wonderful loom, exceptional case finishing. The watch is finished superbly. The tactile bezel is wonderful. There's no backplay, albeit it is a little bit harsh, but I believe maybe in usage that might smoothen up or loosen up a little bit, but again, time will tell. And the last positive, the silky smooth finish from that beautiful bracelet, the beautiful case. It's a nice package. I think for 700 bucks, my viewer, I won't mention his name, he's done well. He's done really, really well. Let me know your thoughts, guys, if you've had any experience with this. It's called the NTH NÄCKEN. It's a 300 meter dive style watch, an interesting piece, a love child of a Tudor and a Rolex. It's got quite a few signatures from both the brands. It is, as the watch says itself, a nod to history. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments in the comment section and we'll see you all in the next video.